スピードゲイン、レジストマジック、バーサタイルエンターテイナー。
最後の何？
芸達者になる魔法よ。
Welcome back, my people, to another Genshin Impact video, and I'm tired. I'm tired of losing to X in all of our races. So this Abyss is my training arc. I went ahead and skipped the recording for floor 11 because I thought it was just kind of boring. Nothing really too interesting. But I will display the team here up on screen if you're that curious. It's just kind of easy. But as I was saying, I'm tired of losing to X. I'm tired that every time we do an Imaginarium Theater run, which is only one, or a Genshin Abyss run, which is also only one, I lose. I lose by a slight margin, or in case of the Imaginarium Theater, I lose by a substantial amount. I don't want to lose anymore. So this theater, I locked in. I've been building my Alhaitham all since, like, the last race video, which I'm not sure when it was, but I'll put it here on screen. But I don't want to lose anymore. This is where Alhaitham proves himself to me and proves what he can do on my team. However, before that, I did mess up and I did bring in a Hu Tao double Hydro team against the Hydro enemies. So as you can imagine, that did not go well, you know. So I went ahead and re-switched that team. Well, so what I did, right, was I beat it all the way to like that last part with the Eula, Raiden, Layla, Mika team for the first half, and then Hu Tao, Yelan, Farina, and Cloud Retainer for that second part. And I didn't think this one was too hard, honestly. Like, I feel like I'm cheating when I pull out Eula because I have her C6, and I have her built, I think, well, especially with a C6 Mika. She gets so much crit damage bonus, like on her like nuke. So I kind of feel like I'm cheating, but at the same time, like, I paid to have her C6, you know. So I don't mind pulling her out every once in a while to have like fun in the Abyss, you know, and test her out. But yeah, I mean, I don't have to say anything about the Hu Tao team. You know, it's Hu Tao. She doesn't lose. So this Abyss wasn't too difficult, like I was saying. Like, for either teams, I felt like it was pretty like straightforward. I felt like the enemies, I don't want to say it felt like they had less HP this time around, but it definitely didn't feel like they were as strong or like as tanky as like previous versions. Or maybe just like the set enemies they picked were very difficult. I felt like they were like pretty manageable. I know they put in like a couple bosses in there, and even those didn't feel like horrendously to like bad to fight. Like when they put in that thing that makes you do the plunge attacking, that is an awful time. I thought the flying ruin guard thingamajig was gonna be like worse than it actually was, but it wasn't too bad with Yelan just to like be able to shoot it down. And then Farina's little like summons also can shoot it down, so that wasn't too difficult. However, when I did go back and do it on Mr. Alhaitham, I didn't have a bow user to shoot it down at that point, so it was kind of just like praying, it felt at some point, which like I don't think it did. So I mean, I had already 3-starred it by like that point, you know, because I did it with the Hu Tao team, but it did suck having to do it with the with the Alhaitham team. He did feel kind of powerless in that situation. But yeah, I mean, other than that, like I've said, you know, sorry I go on these tangents, but ever since that last video where Alhaitham disappointed me, and it took me like 30 minutes to beat like the Ruined Snake, I've just been locked in on his like artifact domain, and I've rolled some pretty good pieces. One of his pieces I rolled has like 17.9 crit rate, which is like absurd, you know. Like I think that's the highest crit rate like piece I've like ever rolled, and I think it went 4 times into crit rate, once into like HP, and it has like the flat 7% crit damage too. So it has crit damage, crit rate, and the other two subsets are HP percent and flat HP. which kind of sucks a little bit. I'm not gonna lie, but I mean it is what it is, right? 4 rolls at the crit rate, one person cannot complain. I was also able to get his energy recharge up a little bit. Not much, maybe like under 10%, maybe like near 10%, I guess would be more accurate. What else did I improve? I think his attack went up a little bit, and his EM stayed the same, right? So let me walk you guys through this actually. I guess this will be the whole tangent. This will be the episode of today's Yap session. So we did the race for the theater. Alhaitham disappoints me. So X is like, hey, let me look at your Alhaitham. Like, how do you have him built? Like, what are your teams? You know, whatever. So I have Alhaitham. I have his weapon. I have him C1 because like my pull to him at once was pretty crazy. So he looks at him and he's like, oh, this Alhaitham isn't built very good. And I'm like, no, Cope, like he has like a lot of like EM, which is like what he scales off for his teams. And he's like, what team are you running him? And I was running him on a Bloom team. So I had him, the Traveler, Yolanda Shincho depending, and then who was my last person? Some form of healer, I don't remember. But it was a Bloom team. And it always felt like, oh, Kuki was my last person. It always felt like so like subpar or like just not good. I never felt like I could deal any damage, and if it did, it wasn't like very like good damage. It would just be like, it felt like very unimpactful. So that's when X is like, oh well, why don't you build like a quicken slash aggravate team, since he can crit, you know, like that's why you want to build him with crits, because like he can crit. And I had seen like a lot of teams and stuff, you know, like I do my own research like before I pull for a character. But for some reason, I went with like that Bloom team. I'm not sure why, you know. So then I was like, you know what, X, I'll try your like aggravate quicken team or whatever, you know. We'll play your game. And I think that was like the best like thing I could have done. I have Yaimiko on there too, and she's running a golden troop, and I think she has like 80, almost 90 crit rate. Is like if I remember correctly from like the the character like guide build thing I show at the end, which like. I know she had a lot, but I didn't think it was that much. I kind of surprised myself there a little bit. I'm not gonna lie. But yeah. So then like I was like, okay, like I'm gonna run this new team, and then I tested it, and then me and X like changed his artifacts a little bit, and like we did this and we did that, and I've just been locked in like building him. So every day I log on, every day I do his domain, and then or his artifact domain, and then I just see if I can get a better substat piece. You know what I mean? And I don't want to use up any of my like stuff to like custom synthesize like his artifacts, because I want to save that for like maybe Eula. I want to get her better, but we'll see. So like here's the moment of truth, right? So I cut out the parts where I lost on the Hutao team, so I'll hide them right here locked in. And this big chunk of damage he does here right at the right off the rip, I was kind of like, I was surprised, I'm not gonna lie. I was like, oh wow, like hold on, is this man cooking? And keep in mind, some of my rotations here get like extremely like messed up, because like my Traveler's like ult wasn't up in time, you know, I rotated too fast, or I used Alhaitham's like skill and like hold or basic tag like out of like rotation, or like I didn't use his ult, or like, you know what I mean, like my rotations were not good. Sometimes I wouldn't have energy on like the Traveler, you know, like something would, or this thing would freaking leave like it just did there, you know, like there was so many times where like the rotation was just chopped, and I was like, you know what, like I just need to start like setting up for the next rotation, and I just need to get like a big chunk of damage going here. And you know, the trial and tribulations, you know, like we do eventually get back on track. I just wish this freaking boss didn't like move around so much. It kind of bugs, you know, having to chase him around, especially with like no mobility, and since like I need the stamina for Alhaitham's like hold to get like that little extra stack. But at this point in the fight, I'm like, oh my goodness, is he about to beat the Abyss like for me, the new Abyss? Keep in mind, he's never done this for me before. I've always considered him a fraud and a phony, and like I know he's super highly rated on the tier list, but I just never saw it. And I think now that I put in like some heart into building him, he like proved me wrong, right? I guess like it's to be expected of like an SS tier unit. And yeah, this was the first time I beat the Abyss with Alhaitham. C1 and his weapon. I think X might be right when he says I have a skill issue sometimes, but yeah, I mean I was shocked. I can't believe I couldn't believe it that I beat it. But I mean, I guess, like I said, like he's S tier for a reason, right? I guess I was just being an NPC noob bot, calling him a fraud. But I mean, I got him going now, and it's only up from here. I'm still not done with the artifacts. There's still a couple of them I do want to change. But here, I'll show you guys the builds and stuff. Here's like his crit rate, crit damage, super good, super high crit rate. Here's his weapon, his artifacts. Nothing crazy. Again, I do want to change some of these around. Some of these rolls I have not gotten too good with. C1 when I pull two of him. And keep in mind his talents are 999. Yeah. Here's Yaimiko. And again, like super high crit rate. And C1 too, actually. Funny story about how I got her C1. So this was like when I first started playing the game. I was pulling and I got like Yaimiko first multi. I was like, oh cool, like new character. And they had Diona on there. And since Eula was my first character, I had read that Diona was good for Eula. So I was like, oh, like, I'll do some more summons so I can get like a Diona, right? And 4 summons later, I get like, or 4 multis later, I get a freaking another Yaimiko. So Yaimiko was my first ever C1. And both her normal and her like C1 came at like such low pity. It's honestly kind of crazy. It must be that like beginner's luck. But yeah, here's my Pride and Joy Eula. 73, 152 plus 60% for Mika. Could be better. Could be a lot better. I do want to finish building her eventually, or not finish building her, but I do want to continue building her. It's just that you just have to get so lucky with those freaking substat rolls. But again, I might use some of these thingies to custom synthesize. Raiden, just my Eula's energy battery. Nothing too special about her, to be honest. C0. And here's Layla, my other Pride and Joy. She doesn't do much but shield. And yeah, I mean, she's just here. I love Layla. Layla's like one of my favorite characters. She's just sleepy and cool. I wish I had her C6, by the way. And then here's Mika, the GOAT. I like this guy a lot. I'm so glad they released him and made Eula like a slightly better. I wish they would drop like a 5-star version of him. I would not mind spending money on any character to make my Eula better. I promise you that. But yeah, that was my redemption arc and X. If you're watching this, I'm coming for my crown next race. Be ready.